Hour number 3 of Overdrive. Welcome to those joining us on TSN2. Jim, Tatti in studio. Frankie C. on remote. Struddy on remote as well. And looking forward to a conversation with Bruce Boudreau in a couple of seconds. Matt Dunnigan, CFL and TSN analyst, will be by as well, reporting to us from BMO Field, where the Toronto Argonauts are getting set to face Saskatchewan, and Chad Kelly makes his return to active duty with the Argonauts. A big weekend for the CFL. Hamilton and Winnipeg tomorrow night, Saturday, BC and Ottawa. Nathan Rourke, number 2. And Sunday, Edmonton and Montreal. The Alouettes at 9-1. And, of course, Cody Fajardo back. So there's great quarterback depth in the CFL and a great storyline there. And, of course, there was the hockey trade today. Rutger McGroarty goes to Pittsburgh from Winnipeg, and Winnipeg gets Brayden Yager back. Yager had signed July 25th, and as it turns out, hours ago, McGroarty had signed with Pittsburgh, both deals about $950 a year, and entry-level contracts with all the bonuses in there. So that was a tidy bit of business, Frankie.
Struddy, did you play when the signing bonuses were the big ones, like pre-lockout?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys, were you a part of that, or
I was.
Like, guys were getting massive bonuses back then?
Yeah, they were. I remember. I want to say Todd Bertuzzi got like $2 million, right?
Crazy.
And so they're for those who don't know, generally speaking, they're limited, right? If you're first round or second round, there's a max. Before, I don't remember there being a max. They could give you whatever you wanted.
Dude, and I remember playing with Brad Boyes, and he was like the last of the guys that had the big bonus before the lockout. I think his bonus would have been like $1 million, which is crazy. I think the max now is like in $275, maybe something like that.
Then there's performance bonuses, right? On top of that. So it's really changed, but these were not performance related. This was like, hey, thank you for signing. Here's your check, right? And it was pretty crazy. And I remember I was quite fortunate to sign beforehand to get that done. But I remember Todd Bertuzzi, because we were both the Islanders, and he signed. It was massive bonus for him.
Did you ever have those performance bonuses in your contract?
I mean, why?
dude, so
why bother?
My entry level deal in 2011, it was with the Canucks, and I was a 5th round pick, so I got the 5th round package, which, hey, it's awesome. You know what I mean? You sign your first NHL deal, you'll take anything at that point. But I had every year an 82 games played bonus that was $15,000 in my contract. And I'm like, I remember signing it, going to my dad and my agent, I'm like, I just don't see a situation where I ever recoup this $15,000 for all 82 games.
I had Norris Trophy. If I won the Norris Trophy, I think I got $50,000. I have all my contracts still because they were all done by paper when I did it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember looking at it a little while ago, I'm like, $50,000 to win the Norris? Why? Like, we're just wasting ink. Some secretary wasted her time putting that together, Tatti.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looked good, right? I mean, somebody would say, hey, look at all this, and then you realize, that's not going to happen, not going to happen, and you get to the real dollar figure.
This is worth millions, this contract, but you have to, score 100 goals. So, there's no chance. There's no chance. So now it's more. I remember when we had Taylor Hall when he was his first year. It was my last year, and I think he hit a bonus of $250,000 for was it 20 or a certain number. So we took. He said, "Hey, I'm taking the guys out for dinner if you want to come." So we, a few guys on the team. This was at home, and we were sitting in a place called Cactus Club, and we were just having something. And I brought the manager over. She was a friend. I said, "Hey, Taylor Hall wants to buy us all gift certificates." She's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, he does." So for me, give me a 500 and then give everyone else the hundreds because they were the young guys, right? So he gets a bill at the end of the night, and the bill was whatever, it's going to be 500. Now it's like $2,000. And he's like, "Who did this? I'm not paying for this." And the lady's like, "That guy over there said it." And I'm like, "I did because, buddy, we all helped you get that. You're buying me this GC." And he was arguing, so he gets it. So then we go to another restaurant. We meet up with Sean Horkoff, who's our captain. And Halsey's mad. He's like, "This Struddy made us do this." He's like, "I can't believe he did that." "Yeah, I told you, Struddy, I told you." He's like, "Yeah, you're going to buy us all GCs from this restaurant." So he bought him again, right? And then you kind of got to pay it forward because, I mean, $250,000, it's a lot of money. But if you pay out $2,500 in bonus in GCs to your buddies, and we all used it. I think I still have the GC, actually. Should probably refill it.
Yeah.
Get him to autograph it, frame it.
But you know what? Your teammates helped you get it done, man. They paved the way.
They did. Thank you.
Struddy, a chili chicken appetizer at Cactus Club, that is not enough of a thanks. You needed that $500 gift card. That is what was adequate in that situation.
It was so nice. it's just a nice, like, and listen, I never had any bonus, but I think if I would have said, hey guys, let me take you out for dinner. And I know some guys do, but when you're young, listen, when you're 18, you're not programmed like that. Most people don't think that way, right? It's not that he didn't want to do it or he didn't think about it. And he's still a good friend and I give him a hard time about it all the time. But that, I think it's a nice thing to kind of do, to just say, hey, thanks guys. And, be a part of it. Cause it's pennies on the dollar here. Let's be honest.
Was that your last year, Taylor Hall's first year?
Yeah. He never.
Okay. So you didn't play the Yakupov year, right?
No, I wasn't there. No.
Do you remember there was it was like the last game of the season. I was playing for Vancouver at the time.
Okay.
And I was called up from junior. We had all these injuries and we had clinched the division already at that point. So we weren't playing our regulars. Henrik and Daniel actually played one shift and then left the game to be ready for the playoffs. And we pretty much, we held it in there until the third period. And then Schultz, Yakupov, all these guys hit their bonuses in like a 7-3 game. And Yakupov was doing the running man, diving into the boards, and these guys were going crazy. And we found out after the game, it was for these guys to hit their $250,000 bonuses, and they all hit it in the last game. And they were going nuts, and they were the last place team that year. It was, I don't know,
Ouch.
a little bit embarrassing.
Not a good
more for us.
Can you see the envy dripping off me? I mean, bonus money in broadcasting. The bonus is you can come in tomorrow.
Free bagel, no cream cheese.
Yeah. Let's bring in Bruce Boudreau now, former NHL coach, TSN hockey analyst. Bruce, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Everybody's good. Talking bonuses. No bonuses here.
Yeah. No bonuses where I'm at either. And I can tell you, that's why Yakupov didn't last, because of the attitude he had and the fact that might have been his only game that he played well all year.
You're probably you're probably not wrong there, Bruce. Like when you were doing deals as a coach, could you ever put some bonus money in there for you? Like if you win 5 in a row, or I don't know, win 8 out of 10. Was there anything like that you could get creative with?
You know what? My bonuses were all playoff bonuses. So no matter how good you did during the regular season, I could get $1 million. They'd say, here, you're going to get $1 million if you win the Stanley Cup. And I'm going, great, I'm taking over a team that's in 32nd spot right now. That bonus will not come to fruition.
Win the Calder Cup. That's great. Now, Bruce, I'm wondering, listen, you hear about the situation with Winnipeg, the young player McGroarty, he doesn't want to be there and he moves on. Okay, so you move on. But as a coach, like were you ever in a situation, or did you ever hear a situation where that happens? And would a coach get involved and try to talk to the player, say, hey man, like this is what I envisioned for you? Or if it's there, it just stops with the manager, then you just say, would have loved to have coached that guy.
Well, I mean, I think the coach, if the manager wanted him to talk to him and give him an idea of where he has him playing, like for example, I had to go. I went with Patrick Alvin to Detroit to talk Kuzmenko into coming to Vancouver, and they had asked me. They said, it's really tough because they say they were asking me, hey, tell him he's going to play 20 minutes. Tell him he's going to play with the best. And a coach doesn't want to say that, because then all of a sudden, if it doesn't happen, then you don't know how the player is, if he's any good. So it's really difficult to say that. But I mean, I was told at sometimes when you're trying to get free agents, tell them the world and and give them everything vocally. But I mean, it's really tough for the coach to say it, because the minute he doesn't fall true on his promises, then all of a sudden, then he's the bad guy, even though he's been told by management to say this, to get in, to do anything to get the guy. Now, as that happened, Kuzmenko turned out to be a pretty good player for me. The first year he scored 40 goals or something. But I mean, at the same point, I didn't feel comfortable telling him, yeah, you're going to play with JT Miller, you're going to play with Pettersson, you're going to be on the first unit on the power play, you're going to be playing this amount of time, because I hadn't seen him play. I'd seen clips of him on video, but it's really difficult to put yourself out there. But I did at that time, and it worked out.
Well, you're right. Like, there's no guarantee that the prospect you're going to see is going to turn into what you think he is, and you can't promise him the world. But, Bruce, I'm wondering now with, the young hockey players, I think they want to hear that. They want to be assured that, hey, you're not going to go to the AHL. You're going right to the NHL, and you're going to play on the first line. And sometimes if they don't hear that kind of stuff, we saw it with Cutter Gauthier. I don't know the full extent of it, but, we kind of seen it with this guy, Rutger McGroarty, where just, doesn't feel right in Winnipeg. Like, how do you feel about these players kind of before they even start their NHL career dictating the terms and saying, sorry, but I'm not coming and trade me. I want to go somewhere else?
It drives me nuts. You want to go out there and punch them in the head, to be honest, because, listen, how can we, you went through it. I went through it. All the older guys have gone through it. You got to come and make the team. You can't be given the spot right away. Even those spots are given maybe for the first 5 or 10 games. But I think you have to go in there and earn a spot rather than come in and have the spot already there. But I don't know. Like when I was reading that about McGroarty today, that they wouldn't guarantee, Winnipeg wouldn't guarantee him a spot at the start of the season, and that's one of the reasons he wanted to get traded. It just drives me crazy. I just think you have to earn your spot. The NHL is an unbelievably good league, and I don't think anybody should be given anything. I think they should be have to earn it. Now, granted, like first rounders, they get a better look. They get better chances of earning the spot. But just to be saying here, come in and take it, it's yours. I'm just not in agreement with.
Okay, so let's apply that to St. Louis and Broberg. There's a guy that most people would agree got a really good contract and maybe too much of a good contract, and so he goes into a team where he's expected to perform at a certain level. What kind of pressure is there on the coach to make that work?
I think all coaches want to make the GMs look good. So, he'll be given every chance. Drew will give him every chance in the world to be good. And I think it's, quite frankly, it was a great deal by Doug Armstrong. I think it was a great, I wouldn't call it a steal, but these guys played in the Stanley Cup Finals. And, sometimes it takes longer to develop, as both of these guys did. But I think, they're really young and they're fast, and they're gonna help St. Louis. So, they'll be given every opportunity to be put in a position to succeed rather than a position to fail. But I think it was a great gamble on their part. And you know what? Edmonton, once they signed Podkolzin or made the trade for Podkolzin, who could be, I think, a good fourth line guy, even a third line. Like his first year with me, he scored 13 goals as a rookie, and I thought this guy was going to be a really great power forward. Now he's regressed a little bit, but I think the possibility of being a good fourth line player is there. He's big, he's strong, he can skate. So I understand why Edmonton might not have matched the offer, because they think they can get a guy like Podkolzin in for $1 million and or less, or whatever he's making, and do the same job that those guys are doing. So I think it was interesting.
Bruce, let's flip it over to the other side of the Oilers. So they know they have 4 of their 60 men back from last year. You got Ekholm, Bouchard, obviously Nurse is the second pair left defenseman. And then I'm guessing or anticipating Kulak will be the third shot left defenseman. As a coach, you're short because CC's gone, Broberg's gone. How do you approach giving opportunity and or identifying who the guy's going to be in there?
Well, they know who was in the minors. They had their reports all year. They know who's coming up, who may be graduating, who they want to think that could be that 5, 6, 7 guy. I think, they're not doing this just haphazardly and saying, "Oh, just let them go and we'll figure it out in the end." Everybody has a plan, and obviously Edmonton has a plan for what they've missed, and plus. The other thing you have to look at now is salary cap and where you're going to spend your money. They got a couple pretty big paychecks coming up pretty soon. So they got to look 2-3 years in advance as well. So they need young guys and cheaper guys to play those positions. So I think they did a good job. I mean, as long as they don't lose the top six that they have and they've added to it, I think Edmonton's going to be as good as the team there is in the NHL this year.
Bruce, I'm curious how you would handle something like this. Philip Broberg, spent a lot of the season in the minors last year, and chances are if he signed with the Oilers, he was not getting $4.6 million. But now he goes to St. Louis, and if he's making that kind of money, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. You can't hide him as the seventh guy in and out of the lineup. He can't play sheltered minutes. When that guy takes up that much of the cap, he's actually got to play. Do you feel like there's a lot of added pressure on that player? And if there is, how do you deal with that situation? Because what if he's not ready for that yet?
Well, you don't know. But as a player, it's like winning and losing. To me, it's like you either fear it, oh, I'm making 4.6, I got to play good, I don't know what I'm doing, or you embrace it and say, I'll show them how good I can be. And I think he sounds like a guy that's got the confidence that he wants to be able to say, okay, I'm worth every penny of this, and I'll show you that I'm worth every penny of this. So rather than go, oh, I can't go on the ice and make a mistake because I'm making this kind of money now. And it's a lot of your mental, the mental way you approach the game. But I would think, just listening to some of the things that he's said, that he's a pretty positive guy and a pretty confident guy. And he played pretty regular, especially in the final series. And I think he was averaging 18 minutes a game. And if you can do that, you certainly have the ability to play in the NHL. And I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep on his confidence type thing.
No shortage of things to talk about. The Habs looking for offense to get Laine out of Columbus. What are your thoughts on that?
I would have moved. What do they got to lose? It was only money. They gave away a pick, but the one thing I don't know what he's like, and that other than his first year, I was in Minnesota, he's in Winnipeg and scored 3 goals every time we were playing against him. He's got an incredible shot. He can score. And let's face it, there's not going to be too many more opportunities for him on other teams. This is his third go around, and he probably likes making a lot of money and being put in a position where he's going to be on a top line potentially with Suzuki and Caulfield. He can score. His shot is as good as anybody. I don't know what his attitude's going to be like or whatever, but Montreal didn't do much at the free agency at the beginning, but this is something that they've done that could really fill a spot for that team. And as far as Columbus goes, he had asked for a trade, so they sort of had to get rid of him, and they did. And they didn't get any better, but I don't know. I don't know if they've got anybody to fill that spot, but they had to get rid of him, and they sent him to Montreal.
If you were in Marty St. Louis' spot, the head coach of the Habs, how do you approach this new relationship with Laine? I'd want to learn a little bit about him before, before you're even talking to him. To me, I always tried to, if there was a new guy, I tried to find out a little what he liked. You want to find a common denominator that you can talk about right off the bat, and then get to know him, and then you'd find out the approach you might need to make him play better. Because our job as coaches is to find the Achilles heel on the player and make him and use that against him to play as good as he can for you. In other words, some guys need a kick in the butt. Some guys need a pat on the back. Some guys, it used to be you could take ice time away from them, or you could take money away from them and fine them. I don't think, and I don't know Patrick, but I don't think he's the kind of guy that you can be hard on him, just because that's been his history sort of thing. But I would find a way to be able to communicate with him, and if you can communicate with him, then maybe you can get through to him. And if you do that and he comes back to form, you've got a real gem there.
If you were still in Vancouver, Bruce, and you were getting reports from your medical team and athletic therapist that Thatcher Demko is still dealing with some stuff and might not be 100%, how concerned are you sitting in your coach's office?
Well, you should have seen me.
Been there, done that.
I mean, yeah, been there, done that. He had surgery the summer of my last year there, and I lasted 13 games, but he wasn't right in camp, and he wasn't right at the beginning of the season. And so now I got injured a little bit more last year, and so I don't know. I'd be really concerned. He's a fabulous goaltender, and you need a great goaltender. Seeloff has come on and played pretty good, and we thought he was going to be a good goaltender. But Thatcher Demko's the real deal. But I would be really concerned, not knowing his injury status or if he could handle it a heavy workload anymore. So I mean, and that they lost their goalie coach, and I mean he was really tight with Ian Clark. So I mean, who knows what that situation is? But I would want a Thatcher Demko healthy. If you have a Thatcher Demko healthy, it makes up for an awful lot of mistakes that are going to be made in front of you.
And how much of Vancouver's success hinges on Thatcher Demko? Like if he was, spotty, not really available all the time, like can they do it, or do they absolutely need him?
Well, I think it's a tough question, but I think Seeloff proved last year that he can be really good, and he was the MVP at the World Championships a couple of years ago. It was like when I was there, he didn't play a game in the American League. He was in the East Coast League, and he was the third goalie in the American League. Then the next year, he became a backup in the American League, and then this year, I think, is his third year. Maybe it's his fourth year. I'm not sure, but I mean, he's going to become a pretty good backup because he is. He's a hard worker. He's a good goaltender, but you need your number one guy. And the players rely on Thatcher Demko. When he's in the net, they know that no matter what kind of mistakes we make, he's usually there to help us and back us up. So I hope he's healthy. I mean, I've heard these reports too, but I mean, I haven't heard whether he's had any secret surgeries or anything else, or the extent of his injury last year going into the playoffs was. So, I mean, I hope he's healthy because he's a great player, and if he is healthy, Vancouver's got a good shot of being really good again.
Bruce, really appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
All righty. You guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Bruce Boudreau, former NHL coach and current hockey analyst on TSN as well. Coming up next, Matt Dunnigan reporting in the Argos against the Riders from BMO Field. This is Overdrive on TSN2, TSN 1050, streaming online and listening on the iHeartRadio app. That's quite a cave you have there, Struddy.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. My wife set it up for me.
So you got Messier, you got Jordan. Who do you got behind you?
No, Messier, Bo Jackson, and Magic Johnson.
My apologies. Sorry, I couldn't see. It's kind of cropped out.
Yeah, and being from Edmonton, obviously Matt Dunnigan also.
Yes.
Good
a lot
call.
of games there and saw the big man running around, tossing the pigskin around.
Good call. He'll be with us in mere seconds. I want to go back to Gabby Boudreau's sort of description of what happens when your star goaltender's hurt. That's got to be precarious at best, especially at the start of a season.
Dude, there can't be if you're the coach and you're walking into the arena every day and you go sit in your office, I guarantee the second you sit down, you just start sweating and the anxiety starts without your starting goalie. Because you're not, your team's not as designed when you don't have your starting guy. And you just got to hope that your backup guy gives you quality minutes or as best as he can for a prolonged period of time.
What's concerning, though, is it's just something that's repeating, right? He had the issue, came back for the playoffs, had the issue again, and now it hasn't healed over the summer. So listen, I don't want to start any conspiracies here, but it is scary because is this chronic? Is there something he's doing? You can change the way he trains, the way he's flexible or not flexible. I'm for the athlete, I'm worried, but I'd be also worried for that organization.
Yeah, that's the guy. I think everything Like that's your difference maker, where things kind of hinge off that guy, right? Not every team is blessed enough to have Thatcher Demko. Like, look, the Leafs are going to hope that Joseph Woll turns into a number one guy. If he turns into Thatcher Demko, like, that'll exceed all expectations by a mile. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of teams that would be in the same boat.
Calgary, Dustin Wolf. Right? What is he? We don't know what he is yet, right? For that,
he's the AHL goalie of the year. That's what he, like, you know what I mean?
So
but
far,
he's not, right. Yeah. But it hasn't turned into the NHL version of that.
Scary. It's the unknown, and you hope that you build him up and he's ready to go. But until you start seeing the action,
so much wear and tear in those guys with the lateral. I mean, it's really fast lateral movement, and sometimes I guess you get caught between: do we just let it heal itself with rest, or I mean, the surgery can take months to heal, right? So
but Jimmy, these guys aren't playing 70 games anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the days of the 66 to 70 game goalie is over. These guys are playing less than ever, but they're hurt more than ever. And you know what? Like, every day at practice, these guys got to go on the ice 30 minutes before practice. And then they do the practice. And then they do the stuff afterwards. It's like, and then every morning skate, these guys got to go on, and they're on the ice too much, the goalies. Like, they got to dial it back. Be ready for the game. Who cares that you're doing goalie ice at 9:45 when practice starts at 10:30? Like, well, I don't know. If you're not playing, if you're playing less games, you shouldn't be hurt more.
But when you guys watch the game, as opposed to even when you guys played, isn't that lateral movement a lot quicker? In terms of where the puck's going, I mean, you could force
Jimmy,
the goalie to do that.
I was playing pretty recently, Jim. You know, I'm not that far removed.
I know,
from the league.
but it seems to change every year, doesn't it?
I understand what you're saying. There seems to be a lot of east to west goals being scored, right? Because the goalies are so good, it's hard to beat them straight on. So I understand.
But that's what you want. That's what you want to do is create that movement.
Yeah.
Because eventually he can't move across.
But I think what I'm hearing Frankie talk about, and maybe there's a discussion around this, is that should there be 3 goalies on a roster, and the third one be more just a practice type goalie? Now, I don't know who wants that job. I mean, I guess it's better than playing the minors, but maybe a 30-year-old guy is kind of in the minors and he becomes the practice goalie, because I can tell you, I hate practicing with one goalie, and I wasn't a goal scorer. Like, but I hate shooter tutors. I don't want that metal thing they drop on the DAC suit make. I want to shoot on a live body. So having one goalie all the time because the other goalie is resting, which I agree with, Frankie, is not going to work for players in the NHL.
I know. We had a couple times where there was one of the athletic therapists. He was a goalie, and if the goalie needed a day off, he would just strap on the pads and go and net with us. And, like, you know, it's fine, but, like, the Leafs a couple years back actually introduced that, where they have, like, a full-time practice goalie. They pay him a good salary. He doesn't play any games in the minors, and that's kind of his job. And he practices with the team. And I think it's brilliant, where you almost, like, you're going to get paid good money. Maybe you're at a point in your career where you don't want to go overseas and you don't want to, I don't know, travel around on the bus in the minors. It's not bad, man. You take shots from Austin Matthews every day and you basically live an NHL life and you make decent money. Like, I'm surprised. It's an investment. That's an investment in your starting goalie, basically, to make sure that he's ready to go. And, I mean, for Toronto, you can't even say that it's really worked that well yet, because Samsonov was hurt all the time. Wall's been hurt all the time. So once you start seeing the results go your way, then you can say it works. But I don't know. Like, that, all I know is they're on the ice a lot, the goalies. Game day, non-game day, they're always on the ice.
I could easily sell you 3 goalies on a roster. I mean, obviously there's cap considerations and all that, but in theory, I think there should be, just because, when cap restraints started to hit football and there was just 2 quarterbacks, that was a problem. I mean, this is a key position. There should be some sort of leeway that way.
I think it'd be outside the cap and say, listen, it's some, because you're not really going to play. You know, it's kind of like that third catcher in baseball. You know, the guy you see out, catching the guys from they're warming up to come out into the in relief situation. So I think it'd be good, but I hear what the goalie coach said, I understand it. But I want to have 2 goalies on the ice. It makes a big difference. And, like, a morning skate with 1 goalie, it's brutal. But I get it. I understand why you're doing it. But I want someone to tee off from those family tees and just crank my one-timer. It goes off the glass, but I need a guy in that net.
Dude, how much did you love, Struddy, going onto the ice, doing the Daytona 500 before practice, and just hitting the glass? And just, man, so loud, so good.
Yeah, I would always shoot for like the smallest part of the net and never hit it. All these scorers are shooting for the big part. I'm shooting to try to shoot like a beach ball through a keyhole. Just not the best plan.
Okay, let me ask you this: Were you a no bucket guy in warm up?
Oh,
only on Saturday nights, or if I came to Edmonton.
Okay, so when did it go from guys just kind of lobbing them in the net during warm up to guys got to go posting in and bar down every single shot and peg guys in the head?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really, because guys would take it pretty easy. And I remember like Jaromir Jagr told me, he goes, "Why do you work so hard in warm up?" He goes, "Warm up is the first period." I'm like, I understand that for you. You have 600 NHL goals. I've got 60 shots, right? So it's a little bit different. That's a good point. I don't know when that, because you're right. It did seem to pick up the intensity. I think when I came in, I know I was pretty intense warmer-upper. I wanted to get going. And so maybe, because I needed to hit the ground running. I couldn't ease my way in to a cold pool. I had to dive right in.
I would get in my head if I had a bad warm-up. That's all I would think about. The 15 minutes prior to the game, I'm like, oh, my skates don't feel good. Why are my gloves all crusty? Couldn't hit the net. Like, I don't know.
Crusty gloves.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's mostly in the minors. That's not in the National League.
Did you guys, check out yourself in the glass without the lid?
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday nights. Yeah, like Saturday nights, I always felt you had to have new laces so it looked good in case you're on TV, then the no bucket. But
you're skating around and you're looking at your reflection in the glass?
When I was younger, once I got older, it was, listen, like that first Saturday night hockey game is very special. And I would suggest everyone who plays NHL to take your helmet off for that first one. After that, you can do it, but it's just something about it. You have a little more hair when you're younger. It's blowing in the wind. You're feeling good about yourself, excited about a day off tomorrow, maybe a fun night to come, after the game. So there's lots of reasons to be hyped up. When you get older, it's not quite as exciting. Buckle down. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
It's
fun, man. No bucket warm up. I remember one time I was called up to Vancouver and the team wasn't playing very well. And obviously when you have call-ups, like it's not exactly a recipe for, your team to turn things around when you got guys that aren't usually on the team playing.
Yeah.
And we roll into the Bell Center and Alex Burrows goes, everyone's got to go bucket off. It's the Bell Center. Like we're losing games left, right, and center. We got to go buckets off. This will turn things around for us. We lost 5-2.
Oh. I mean, you guys start. You guys are so superstitious.
Hot start, dude. Hot start. We may have had a 2-0 lead. I don't remember, but we lost 5-2. Something like that.
But I always like seeing the young guys when they had their first snow helmet in warm up. It's just special. Like it's so special.
I mean, listening to you guys, there's a boyish quality to what you're doing. So Frankie, you'll remember this. Zach Aston Reese was in for Detroit late in the season. And you bumped into him, and he was asking if Johnny was around because he only scores when Johnny's doing the TSN game.
That was pretty funny, actually. Yeah, we're down at Scotiabank Arena. We're doing the Leaf game on radio, and we're walking by the Red Wings dressing room and catch up with two former teammates, Daniel Sprong and Zach Aston Reese. And the first thing out of Zach Aston Reese's mouth after "How's it going?" is Mike Johnson here? Is he doing the game? Because I always score when he does the games.
Johnny.
And I go, no, it's not a TSN game tonight. He goes, oh man. So he was looking forward to it.
Yeah,
he was looking forward to it.
And he didn't score.
Johnny's his muse with his tight suits.
His good luck charm. Well, it did work, right? I mean, they even said that on one of the TSN broadcasts.
He was Mr. TSN at one point, Zach Aston Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you look for whatever works. You try. I mean, the coaches are the same, right? You're not changing the sports jacket. This is the winning coach.
You know what's funny though? Like you have some buildings where you walk into the building and you're like, this building feels good. I like it here. I generally play here. And then there's some buildings where you're like, I could go tick 3 tonight. I could go tick 3.
It's a bad feeling. My first ever NHL game was in Hartford at the mall. I'm so nervous. I didn't sweat the night before. I'm sweating the whole time. I'm a disaster. So for those who are not familiar with warm up, when they do the half moon at the end, they usually start with the older players and work their way down to the young guys. So I'm standing there just waiting my half moon, just waiting for someone to pass me a puck. I finally get it. Head down. I hammered into the net. I look up. All the guys are laughing. The goalies were changing. There was no goalie in the net. I just buried it right in the middle of the net. And they're all like, great shot, Struddy. I'm like, I just start skating like crazy. I was so embarrassed because my head was down the whole time.
Dude, you want to talk about being mortified doing that half moon thing? So I'm 18 years old, my first training camp with Vancouver. Manny Legacy is at camp on a PTO.
Okay.
And he's at the end. Like, he's got the double knee brace going. Like, he's kind of barely hanging on. But he had a great career. Like, he was a very good goalie for a long time. And we do the half moon, and I walk into this thing. I get it right into the wheelhouse, right into the curve of my stick, Struddy. Yeah. I snap this thing. It gets him right in the clavicle.
Oh. Nice to meet you, Manny.
Right? 18-year-old snot-nosed kid gets him right in the clavicle. He goes down, and he's got the windmill going. And I'm just, like, mortified. I'm like, oh, my God. I can't, like... I gotta go apologize. It was all good after, but like the one place you don't want to put a shot in warm up, you put it there. No. 18 years old, dummy.
Clavicle and head. Clavicle and head.
Have you talked to him since?
I don't even know if he knew my name.
He's still sore. His clavicle's still recovering.
Yeah,
from that bomb. Yeah. That 60-mile-an-hour bomb.
60. No, that was with an Easton stick. Those things had a lot of pop.
Yeah, a lot of hammer time on there.
Yeah.
So pretty funny.
We got CFL action tonight, Saskatchewan at Toronto. You can listen to it on TSN 1050. Pre-game starts at 7. Ben Grant and Mike Hogan. You can watch it on TSN 1, 3, and 5, and obviously Chad Kelly's return. So I guess the athletic angle of that is a guy who hasn't played since late last year, and the last game he played was a stinker. I mean, let's be honest about that. Can you recall a situation where a guy missed a long period of time, was coming back from a negative performance and had to sort of get back into things midway through his season?
Ooh, a negative performance and then had to get things back
after winning. Like, first of all, I should clarify, after winning the most outstanding player award, but stunk in the last playoff game.
That's the thing. Like, the Argos were so good, and Chad Kelly was so good. They played so many meaningless games down the stretch last year. And, like, they probably went, would they go a month and a half, maybe 2 months without playing a game that actually really mattered. And then when push came to shove, like, he didn't have it. And he was off, and ultimately the team lost.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, at least he's been practicing. Like, he's been doing the playbook. He should have a good opportunity to kind of settle in, but I guess nothing really replicates the game rep, Struddy.
Well, let's look at BC and Nathan Rourke, right? Here's a guy who has been practicing, has been playing, albeit it's a different game. The 4-down game versus the 3-down game down south is different. So I think that he came in, and he's a very talented player. He owned this league when he played here with BC. He owned it. He's been down south, and he had, what I'd call a subpar performance for him, but a lot of changes, cut from different teams, comes to Canada. Like, there's a lot going on. But I think that for Kelly, it should be easier because he has only been thinking about the 3-down game. But I don't think it's a lock that he comes in and is just slinging them all over the place here, Tatti.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating to watch. And the Nathan Rourke thing, one less down, one more player in a wider field. I mean, obviously he's excelled at it before, but not for a couple of years. And he had all those playbooks in his head. And, I expect him to show up as we expect on Saturday in Ottawa.
What about the mental part, too, Jimmy and Struddy, for Nathan Rourke, where you're like, I just want to prove myself in Jacksonville. I want to prove myself in New England. I want to prove myself, where else was he? Atlanta, exactly. Like, all you're thinking is, I want to achieve this dream, and all you're doing is getting rejected, and that's tough. Like, it's tough to kind of play through that.
Yeah, here's the clipboard. That is the NFL is such a hierarchy in terms of who they're going to look at, and it just kind of bothers me that nobody could sort of look at you as what you are as opposed to your credentials. He's going to work out because, well, how do you know that?
Yeah, you need someone advocating for you, right?
Like, well, in his case, you need a divine intervention. You need 2 guys to drop in front of him.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's difficult.
And then quite a few teams have their guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Their A and their B guys. So
they've invested in them. Somebody scouted them. Somebody vouched for them. And there's all that sort of keeps them going.
contracts, all that stuff. It is difficult. And I feel bad for work. Like, I think that obviously signed a nice deal here coming back to BC, and he's going to financially be all right. But it's clear that he wants to prove himself in the NFL, and I get that. Like, I understand that, but it didn't work out. Now to come and just stick here and kind of give himself the full chance to be the dominating player he was earlier, the Lions are probably hoping that's what happens.
Well, I think it does eventually.
Yeah, and Naylor kind of alluded to it earlier in the week where he's like, Nathan Rourke's year where he lit the league on fire, he was also hurt,
yes,
right?
He was.
So there's something to be said for him kind of putting it together health-wise for a couple of years before you try and pursue it again.
We've got our best bets next. Overdrive is brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. And Overdrive continues on TSN2, TSN 1050, the iHeartRadio app, and streaming online. Oh, yeah, time for business, time for best bets. Welcome back to Overdrive. Jim Tatti, Frank Corrado, and Struddy, and now producer Doogie is in studio. Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Doogie?
All right, guys, going to roll with the Toronto Argonauts on the money line. We know the stakes around this game. Quarterback Chad Kelly back in action, first time since last November. So a lot of eyes are going to be on this game. The X is going on. A lot of hype around what the Argonauts are going to do, and I believe they're going to show up at home tonight. And a lot of talk about what Ryan Dinwiddie has said during the week, what the Argos have said during the week, is that they're going to focus on the run game a little bit more to get Chad Kelly a little bit more comfortable within the action. So we're going to roll with Kadeem Carey on the anytime touchdown, and then pair that with the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line with the LA Angels in town tonight, carrying some steam from what they had in a loss against the Reds last night. The bats are going, and they're looking pretty good, and this Angels lineup without Trout is nowhere near as the same. So going to roll with the Blue Jays on the money line. So to recap, the Argonauts money line, Kadeem Carey, anytime touchdown, and the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line that totals plus 402 on the FanDuel Sportsbook app.
Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. The first inning means just as much as the ninth when you bet baseball on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 19 and over, and physically located in Ontario. Physically.
This guy.
I got a question for Doogie.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
You've been on camera a lot this week.
Oh, boy.
Doing yes guy, no guy. We did confirm or deny for 45 minutes on Tuesday.
A new record.
Yeah, that must have been an overdrive record.
How's your text messages? How's your DMs? You must be getting a lot of people saying, "Hey, I see you on TV." How's that been?
It's been a pretty good experience. It's not the first time, but I'm very thankful for many people reaching out, and you start to realize the experience and how many people are watching. Got a couple of friends at the bar saying, "Oh my God, there you are, Josh," and there you go, and just keep up the great work. So a lot of support, but couldn't have done it without all you guys.
All right,
good job, buddy.
Jeez, really mailed that one in, with that answer.
Wow.
You're any more politically correct? It's just an honor to be on here with you guys. It's so much fun.
I was trying to be nice. Come on. Yeah, no.
It's been awesome, guys. I'm getting a lot of street cred, guys. It's been unbelievable. I should be on here more often. Like, say what you're thinking. Don't just tiptoe around it. Like,
come on. No, that wasn't. That's what
you should buy a supper.
He hasn't hit a performance bonus yet, Tatti.
Without that answer, you will never get there.
There's a Boston Pizza around the corner. We can make that work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
Right.
It's also like we've been talking about Joey Votto all day. We haven't played the clip of him laughing on the show. Like, do you guys remember that diabolical clip of Joey? I don't know if JP can pull it up.
I think JP can make this work for us. I think we have it.
He's got some time, I can say.
Yeah.
Well, once we get to it, but hey, what a career for Joey Votto, and we basically we put a bow on it. We did. We talked to everyone we could talk to about Joey Votto.
Going to the Hall of Fame.
I'll get up there for what? For the Jays? Like, if they went on a playoff run, would you want to be in your hometown, or does it matter to you?
No.
No, you wouldn't? No? Okay.
No.
All right.
That laugh had an edge to it.
Yeah.
That was like, why did we go
Evil.
there? Yeah, that was, that had sarcasm dripping off
it's
that
laugh. It's a full circle moment.
Oh, wow.
No.
Save that for Halloween.
It's the high-pitched start to it that really gets you. Like, it's very sinister.
Yeah.
He wanted no part of that.
No,
he tried to laugh out of it. Wow, that's not creepy.
No.
4 or 5 plays later, kind of gets to you, doesn't it?
That's the personality.
Yeah.
That's what he's brought to the table.
He sounds like Jim Carrey when he laughs. You know, like was it Pet Detective? That's the same laugh he has there. If you put those two side by side, they'd be very similar.
You're actually right.
Yeah. JP, let's hit it again. Okay, yeah.
Somebody stop me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
oh no.
that's the same guy.
The
I'm telling you, maybe that's his
the mask.
voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mask.
You
Is that what it was?
you read through some of the fan messages saying what are some of the top interview moments from Overdrive, and a lot of people will say that moment.
Really?
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't
Very
have
memorable.
any today.
No, but
You never
this was
know.
good.
JP should have put the laugh in there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
That'd do
okay.
his
Good.
answer.
Struddy, enjoy the concert. Enjoy the kissing booth.
Yeah, I'll be doing it for the kids, guys. Doing it for the kids.
all right, guys. Thanks very much. Go back to your turn the lights out. Away you go. Josh, we're going to do this again tomorrow with Dave Feschuk from the Toronto Star. So we'll do this at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.